underway. Italian Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix, and the Monaco Grand Prix is underway.
Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to take control of the fastest racing machine on Earth? A Formula One car is not just a vehicle. It is a rocket with wheels, capable of cornering harder than a fighter jet and pushing the human body to its absolute limits. On television, it looks effortless, with drivers gliding through corners and blasting down straights as though the car were an extension of their body. But behind that grace lies danger. One misjudged turn, one fraction of a second too late on the brakes, and the result can be catastrophic. Cars snap into barriers, burst into fire, and scatter debris across the track. We have all seen those heart-stopping crashes where drivers walk away only because of engineering miracles. So here's the real question. If you were given the chance, could you drive one? Not just sit inside, but truly command it, with all the risk and fury that comes with it? Welcome to The Curious Playbook. Stay with us, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what it takes to drive a Formula One car. The reality is far tougher than the dream. Let's begin with the car itself. A Formula One car looks like it should handle better than anything on Earth. In a way, it does. But the secret is that it only behaves properly if you drive it at speeds that most people would never dare attempt. Unlike a road car that uses mechanical grip from its tires and suspension, Formula One cars rely mainly on aerodynamic grip. The faster you go, the more downforce presses the car into the track, and the more stable it becomes. At slow speeds, it is the opposite. The tires are cold, the brakes are cold, and the car slides like it is on ice. This is why even television presenters who have tried, like Richard Hammond in a Renault R25, could barely keep the car on the circuit. He was not going fast enough to warm the tires, and the car fought him every step of the way. Modern Formula One cars demand a smooth, precise driving style with no aggressive sliding. Push too little, and the car refuses to grip. Push too hard, and it will spin without mercy. You could only hope to drive a Formula One car if you learn to trust its aerodynamics and keep the throttle down when every instinct tells you to slow. Now think about the speed itself. On the straights, these machines exceed 200 miles per hour, but the true test is the corners. At places like Suzuka or Spa, drivers take corners at nearly 190 miles per hour. Faster through corners than any other car in the world, the Formula One machine leaves no time for thought. Everything is instinct and training. And there are no electronic aids to save you. Since the mid-2000s, traction control and anti-lock braking have been banned. The slightest error in pressing the accelerator can cause wheel spin and a crash. The slightest misjudgment on the brakes can lock the tires and send you into the gravel. A road driver would find it nearly impossible to keep control even for a single lap. This is why, before you even think about the body or the mind of the driver, the car itself is the first barrier. To handle it, you need to master the paradox that only speed creates stability. But even if you could, your body would face a battle like no other. The most punishing part of driving a Formula One car is not the speed. It is the G-forces. Drivers experience more than 5G in corners and braking zones, the same forces that fighter pilots endure in combat maneuvers. When you hit 5G, your head and helmet together feel as heavy as 70 pounds. Imagine trying to hold a large suitcase sideways with just your neck muscles and doing it for nearly 2 hours without rest. That is what Formula One drivers face every weekend. This is why they train their necks until they are thicker than most weightlifters. Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso both developed necks 18 inches around, far above the average male's 15 inches. They use resistance harnesses to simulate the forces, pulling their heads sideways, training sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscles just to survive the cornering. Then comes braking. To slow a Formula One car from 200 miles per hour to 60, a driver must press the brake pedal with a force equal to lifting more than 200 pounds. And they must do this with one leg again and again, perhaps 500 times during a race. Without years of conditioning, the average person would fail to even press the pedal hard enough to stop the car in time. Inside the cockpit, the heat rises to 50 or even 60 degrees Celsius. Drivers wear heavy fireproof suits that trap the heat. Over a race distance, they lose between 3 and 5% of their body weight in sweat. That is up to 8 pounds gone in under 2 hours, while keeping a heart rate as high as 180 beats per minute. The demand is similar to running a marathon in desert heat while lifting weights at the same time. cardiovascular fitness, core strength, and lean body weight are all essential. Drivers must remain light, under 150 pounds with body fat below 12%, to regulate heat and maximize performance. Without this, the heat and strain would destroy concentration long before the checkered flag. So if you thought the car was the only barrier, think again. Your body would likely give out first. You could only dream of lasting a race if you trained your body like an elite athlete, every muscle tuned for speed and survival. But what about the mind? The brain of a Formula One driver works at lightning speed. Reaction time is everything. The average person reacts in half a second. An elite sprinter might respond in 1/6 of a second. A Formula One driver reacts in just 2/10 of a second. That difference means meters gained at the start and lives saved in a crash. Training reaction is constant. Jensen Button once demonstrated by hitting flashing lights on a wall at a rate of 2 per second. This kind of drill sharpens reflexes until instinct takes over. In a corner at 190 miles per hour, there is no time to think. The car twitches and the driver corrects instantly before the thought even forms. Decision-making under pressure is another layer. A race lasts 90 minutes or more. Hundreds of small choices must be made, each with enormous consequences. When to brake, when to accelerate, when to change the engine mode, when to defend or attack. All while engineers speak into the radio, strategy shifts unfold, and rivals fight inches away. Losing focus for even a moment can mean a crash. Drivers also rely on senses most people barely notice. Their inner ear balance tells them when grip is fading. Veterans like Lewis Hamilton can feel the exact moment the tires lose their edge, often before the data confirms it. This sense is vital for timing pit stops and avoiding spins. Without it, even the fastest reflexes may not save you. This mental edge is as rare as the physical one. To maintain absolute focus with a pounding heart, crushing heat, and the roar of the engine demands superhuman calm. Only those with nerves of steel can hold the car on the limit without panic. You might hold it together for a few seconds, maybe even a lap, but to sustain it over 2 hours is another reality entirely. Which brings us to the journey. Nobody wakes up at 20 years old and decides to become a Formula One driver. The path begins at 4 or 5 years old in a small go-kart. Children like Sebastian Vettel, who started at 3, or Lewis Hamilton, who began karting at 8, built skills lap after lap through their entire childhood. By the time they were teenagers, they were racing in junior formulas, preparing for the leap to the professional ranks. The costs are staggering. Even entry-level karting can demand $10,000 a year. To climb the ladder all the way to Formula One requires $10 million or more. Sponsorship, family wealth, and relentless networking are as necessary as talent. Without financial backing, many skilled drivers never reach the top. Coaches, engineers, and mentors guide every step. By the time a driver earns enough results to qualify for a super license from the FIA, they have already competed for years at the highest levels. And since Max Verstappen debuted at 17, rules now require that a driver be at least 18. They must also pass written exams and prove a record of safe and competitive racing. This is why you could only become a Formula One driver if you dedicated your life to it from childhood with talent, funding, and relentless commitment. Even then, only 20 drivers in the world hold a seat each season. It is not just rare, it is almost impossible. And yet for the curious, there are places where ordinary people can touch this dream. At the Dubai Autodrome, you can drive a Jaguar from the early 2000s. At Paul Ricard in France, you can sit in a Renault with 800 horsepower. At tracks in Spain, you can try cars once raced by Prost or Williams, but these are controlled experiences, brief and limited. A taste of the power, but not the reality of a full Grand Prix. So let us return to the title. You could drive a Formula One car if you dared to unleash its speed without hesitation, if your body could endure the crushing G-forces, if your mind could react with the precision of a computer, and if you carried the years of discipline that turn instinct into second nature. Without all of these working together, the machine is not simply difficult, it is untouchable. Formula One is more than sport. It is the meeting point of engineering and the human limit. Watching the drivers wrestle their cars through corners at impossible speed, surviving crashes that would shatter ordinary bodies, reminds us how wide the gap truly is. The average person cannot bridge it. but seeing those who can is what makes the spectacle unforgettable. If this journey into the heart of Formula One made you see the sport in a new way, remember to like and subscribe to the Curious Playbook. There are countless stories of hidden science and extraordinary human achievement waiting just around the next corner.